What's up, everybody? Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you saw the title of this video, you may be thinking, uh-oh, here we go. Another guy telling us alcohol is bad, run from alcohol, never drink. That's not what this video is. I'm not here to demonize alcohol in any way or try to make you feel bad about drinking alcohol. I believe in your freedom and your right to drink if you want to. I just want to educate and just share with you just some practical things about alcohol and how it affects the mind and body so you can make more informed decisions. This is going to be a quick video. If this piques your interest and you want to take a deeper dive into the effects alcohol has on the brain, Andrew Huberman is probably your best bet as far as your go-to. He's a super smart guy. And really knows a lot about the subject. I would love to post some Huberman links in this video, but I'm not at 500 subscribers yet at the time this video comes out. I'm about 470. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, just click that subscribe button, help us get to 500, and I can start doing some cool stuff. All right, so let's talk about alcohol. Let's look at what it is. So you take fruit, you take grain, you take whatever, and it rots. It ferments and it releases ethanol. And we take that ethanol, turn it into a liquid, and then that's basically the main ingredient of alcohol at its base of what it is. And as everyone knows, that ethanol is toxic. It is poison to the body. So yes, when we drink alcohol, we are drinking a toxic poison. But that's not really the big deal because we ingest toxic poisons all the time, unfortunately. There's a level of poison in a lot of stuff we eat. There's toxins in a lot of stuff that we eat and drink. So that's not really the problem that ethanol is poisonous to the body. What's the problem is when you start looking at the levels in which we ingest something. Because again, you can ingest something that's bad for you, but if it stays at a healthy level, then it's not really going to have that many negative effects. So what is the healthy level? Most experts are going to tell you that it's 2 drinks per week. 2 drinks per week. So if you stay at 2 drinks per week, yes, you are ingesting ethanol, which is a toxic poison, but you're probably not ingesting enough where it's actually going to hurt you. So you might be thinking, well, cool, I'm there. I might have 2 drinks a week or even 4 a week. Oh, by the way, everybody metabolizes alcohol at a different rate. So for some of you, 2 drinks a week is not good. And some of you may be able to handle a little more, but baseline is 2 drinks a week. Anyway, here's the problem. And I run into this in sessions all the time. Let's say I'm counseling a guy and I'm wanting to get my head around his drinking pattern. So I ask, how many drinks per week? And let's say he tells me 4 drinks a week. A couple of nights a week, he has a couple of drinks. Well, the conversation doesn't stop there for me because I have to find out what constitutes a drink to him. And this is where things can get a little sideways. So he'll say, yeah, here's what a drink is. And, I'll take my cup, my Yeti, whatever it is, and fill it up to about here with my bourbon and then fill it up the rest of it with Coke. And we start looking at the ounces of alcohol that he's actually ingesting. He's not ingesting just 1 drink that night. He is ingesting probably 4 to 5 drinks that night. So let's talk about the ounces that constitutes a drink. A drink is 0.6 ounces of pure alcohol. Here's how that converts. That's basically 1 beer. So if you drink your basic beer of 4% by volume alcohol, then 1 beer would equal 1 drink. If you're talking wine, you're looking at 5 ounces. So 5 ounces of wine equals 1 drink. If you're talking, liquor, you're talking 1.5 ounces because you got water and other stuff in there. So to have 1 drink of alcohol and 1 drink of alcohol, again, is 0.6 ounces of pure alcohol. That's 1.5 ounces of liquor. So again, 1 beer or 5 ounces of wine, 5 glasses, 5 ounces of wine or 1.5 ounces of liquor. Now, that constitutes a drink. So this guy who tells me I only have, a couple of drinks a night or, 4 or 5 drinks a week, When I really start looking at the ounces he's drinking, he's usually drinking about 3 times more than he thinks he is. So that's one thing for you to really stop and look at, is what is a drink to you, and then based on that, how much are you actually drinking? Also, too, no, you can't bank them. If you're sitting there wondering, well, I'll just save all mine up for one night a month and just have all. No, it don't work. It don't work that way. I'm not going to take the time to go into what drinking a lot of alcohol at one time does to the brain and body, but it is, man, it's really bad. So I encourage you to dive into that. But no, if you have the brain that says, well, I'll just bank them all for one time, then you got the same brain I got. Congratulations. Okay. So here's what it does. When you ingest alcohol, that toxic poisonous part of the alcohol is what makes you feel good. So the buzz or whatever you're looking for, it actually comes from that poison. So just know, when you feel the effects of alcohol, you're feeling the effects of the poison. And then the next thing it really starts doing is starts suppressing the frontal cortex. Okay. So your ability to monitor yourself tends to lessen. This first kind of shows up by how loud we talk. We lose the ability to monitor the how loud we're talking. If you've been at you know what I'm talking about. You've been at the parties, right? You've been at the bar. You've been at whatever. When the more people drink, the louder they get. It's because they lose that ability to monitor certain things. We lose the ability to control our impulses a little bit. So we're going to end up saying things that we typically would probably have kept to ourselves. We're going to end up doing things that maybe we might have thought about doing, but we would have been able to control ourselves and not do. But the effects of alcohol on the brain suppresses that part of the brain where we're able to make decisions and control our impulses. So this is going to lead to some regrets. Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes this leads to regrets. And we've all done it, right? So we have a little too much to drink, end up saying some things we wish we didn't say, doing some things that we wish we did not do, and we wake up the next day and we feel regrets. Now, let's take this to the extreme for a minute. So here's the extreme places that can lead to. Suicides. I can think of many, many suicides that would not have happened if alcohol would have been removed from the situation. It's that simple. You take that person where they are, everything that they're struggling with, and yes, they were in a bad, bad place, but on the day they killed themselves, if all you did was remove alcohol from that situation, they would still be alive today. It's just a fact. Also, things like violent crimes, fights, murders. I mean, again, we're talking extremes for a minute. So many of these things, so many of these tragic situations that goes on in our society, if all you did was remove alcohol from the equation, then those things do not happen. And again, I'm not trying to say that alcohol should be removed from society. I believe in freedom. I believe it is your right to drink alcohol. But again, we need to look at the facts. A lot of bad things happen that would not have happened if alcohol was removed from the situation. Why? Because it affects the brain. It affects our ability to make decisions. All right. So that's what's going on, like in the moment. That's just a little bit of what's going on in the moment. I am just going to hit the tip of the iceberg. Again, take a deep dive for yourself, do your own research to come to your own conclusions. But that's one of the things that happen that we usually end up having some regrets over, is we just become less inhibited and do things, say things that we end up regretting. All right, so that's all I'm going to talk about right there as far as like the effects of alcohol in the moment. Now let's talk about some other things that happens in the brain. And I want to talk about something that happens as a result of drinking alcohol, even when you're not drinking alcohol. So we're talking about the day after, 2 days after, 3 days after. When you drink alcohol, it raises your cortisol levels when you are not drinking. All right. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone that makes us feel anxious. It makes us feel agitated. It puts us on edge. It's a stress hormone. It has its place. We need it from time to time, but we do not need it on the levels that we are experiencing, especially when alcohol is a normal part of our rhythms. Again, cortisol levels are raised even when we are not drinking. So if you let's take this pen, and if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're on another platform, just try to use your imagination. Let's use this pen, and this is your baseline. So this is your baseline of just feeling okay. All right. And so you take a drink and you go up and you feel good because all kind of stuff's happening, dopamine, all that good stuff. So you have a few drinks and you feel good. The problem is when that alcohol leaves your system, you don't come back down to your baseline. You end up dipping below. All right. So feel good, alcohol leaves your system, and now we feel worse. Why? Because you're releasing a ton of cortisol. That's one reason, because you're releasing cortisol. There's other reasons you feel bad, but that's one reason. And so then the more we do it, kind of the more severe it gets. And the next thing we know, we're just chasing normal. We're just trying to chase normal because our cortisol levels are really, really raised. When our cortisol levels are raised and we end up feeling anxious, agitated, on edge, we end up losing connection. We end up losing our awareness of our connection with God. I mean, it really does hinder our relationship with him. Try not to think sin right now. And yes, we can get through all the scriptures about strong drink and being a drunk. We can talk about all that, and that stuff's important. But for this video, I'm really just wanting to talk about the physical effects, not the moral or spiritual effects. But we just lose our awareness of our connection with God. I never will forget getting sober. I was about 60 days in, and I just noticed birds singing again. I noticed how good coffee smelled. I remember just really noticing a crisp breeze. And I noticed how I had lost my connection with just nature even. So we lose our connection with God. We lose our connection with nature. We lose our connection with the things we love. And we lose our connection with other people. Yes, in the moment of drinking alcohol, you may feel very connected to people because you may end up talking about things that you never would have normally talked about because, again, you're less inhibited. But in the long run, because of the raised cortisol levels and what alcohol does to the body and the brain, we actually end up losing connection with people, and we lose connection with ourself. So that's just one thing to look about, to take a look at. I'm going to end with this. Here's a question I get often is, how do I know if I have a problem? All right. So the first part of this video is, listen, 2 drinks a week, learn what a drink is, and then understand when you ingest it, here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. We'll stay there. Now let's talk about for the person who is drinking a lot more than just 2 drinks a week. And they are kind of teetering on that question of, do I have a problem right now? I believe that it is something that is self-diagnosed. I never look at anybody and say you are an alcoholic. It's something you really have to come to on your own. But there are some questions that I like to ask. And if you start answering yes to some of these questions, then you need to take a look at it. All right. The first question is this: do you ever drink more than you intend to? Like, do you ever say, okay, I'm just going to have 2 drinks tonight, and you end up having 4? Or do you end up saying, okay, I'm going to, buy a 6-pack and it's going to get me through the weekend. And the next thing you know, you're back at the store getting more. Do you ever say, I'm only going to have 1 glass of wine tonight with dinner? And then the next thing you know, you're having 2 or 3 more glasses as you're sitting there watching TV. Do you ever drink more than you intend to? If you answer yes to that question, you need to really pay attention to what's going on. The next question is, does alcohol change you? Does it change you? Do you really do things out of character that you would not do? If that's the case, you need to pay attention. Have you experienced loss? And that can be internal or external losses. Internal losses, peace, integrity, sound mind, those type things. Have you experienced internal losses because of your alcohol use? And external losses. Have you lost a relationship? Have you lost a job? Have you lost your license? Have you lost other things? Has drinking alcohol made you experience losses internally or externally? If you answer yes to that, you need to pay attention. The last one is anybody concerned about your drinking? Is your wife, your mom, your friends, your siblings, your kids, is anybody concerned about your drinking? If the answer is yes, you need to take a hard look at that. So, do you ever drink more than you intend? Does it change you? Have you experienced loss internally or externally? And is anybody concerned about your drinking? If you answer yes to some of those questions, then I would encourage you to really, really dig in. Start talking to someone. Start talking to people in recovery, counselors or pastors or whoever. Just start the conversation. Because here's what I believe. I don't believe in the idea of you have to hit some rock bottom that is prepared for you. I believe that you can create your bottom now. There are people that disagree with that they don't believe that people with problems can choose their bottom, that there is a bottom, and once they hit it, if they live long enough to hit it, then they will change. I don't believe that. I believe you can choose your bottom. I believe you can say, this is enough loss. I've embarrassed myself enough. I've embarrassed my family enough. I've lost enough peace. I've lost enough health. I've lost enough. If that's you, get some help. Get some help. Start today. Make a phone call. Make an appointment. Do whatever the Spirit leads you to do to go get some help. If that's not you, if you do not have a problem, but you have opened your eyes have been opened through this video of, yes, you do drink too much. You don't see it's a problem, but yeah, you probably drink too much and your health is suffering. It's simple. Just drink less and feel better. It's kind of that simple. You drink less, you will feel better. All right. Thanks for tuning in. If this video has been helpful, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment. It helps our algorithms. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss upcoming videos. Thanks for tuning in.